Hello, TYT sports fans. Hello, YouTube fans. It is I, Chief Josh Yola, Josh Gibbs, here, the WWE correspondent for TYT Sports, and we are talking about Survivor Series. One of the big four pay-per-views of the year is coming up on Sunday, November 19th, and the WWE has actually been making a lot of changes recently to make this show a little more enjoyable. You can see the scroll down here going along the matches that are supposedly going to happen, but there's still a couple things up in the air, and we'll go through that in just a second. Just in case you're not familiar with, Survivor Series is one of the big four pay-per-views. It's one of the few pay-per-views of the year where both Raw and SmackDown superstars will compete against each other. This only happens a couple of times a year, and it's traditionally always around Thanksgiving. Since '95, it's been held the Sunday before Thanksgiving, so it's looked at as kind of a holiday tradition. And what made Survivor Series different than other pay-per-views was that it was defined by big matches. It was defined by 5-on-5s, 3s-on-3s, tornado tag teams, those kinds of things, stuff that you don't typically see at pay-per-views. So it was a little more chaotic, but a little more fun. That's what made Survivor Series interesting. Survivor Series is where we had the infamous Montreal Screwjob, and that was back in 1997. Wrestling fans know that story very well. If you've never heard of the Montreal Screwjob, I definitely recommend you Googling it because it is a interesting part of WWE lore and professional wrestling lore and what really happened when you had a mixture of the real stuff and the storyline stuff actually combining, and it was pretty interesting for the time. So, it should be exciting. Survivor Series, it started out kind of maybe a little bit bland, only because the matches that they had put together were almost all championship matches where the belt couldn't change place. It was champion versus champion, but Raw versus SmackDown. So when we have Brock Lesnar versus AJ Styles, they go against each other. Neither man is going to lose their belt necessarily, but it should provide us a good match. Now, this match wasn't supposed to happen. Originally, it was going to be Brock Lesnar versus Jinder Mahal. The idea was the Universal Champion on Raw and the WWE Champion on SmackDown. But AJ Styles recently defeated Jinder Mahal to become the new WWE Champion. And so why did that happen? Well, the answer is simple. Vince changed his mind. Vince McMahon controls all of this. Vince McMahon decides what matches are going to be held for what event. He decided that fans would be a lot more interested in seeing AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar. And indeed they are, because the buzz has been huge ever since AJ Styles won the belt. So that's definitely something that they're going to compel people to watch more. Another big change that they've made is in the tag team belts. Originally, it was supposed to be Ambrose and Rollins, who were the Raw tag team champions, versus the Usos, who were the SmackDown tag team champions. Ambrose and Rollins lost the belts very recently also to Sheamus and Cesaro. And so now we're going to get a Sheamus and Cesaro match versus the Usos, which should be entertaining as well. But the more interesting part is, why were Ambrose and Rollins pulled out of that match? It was because Roman Reigns has been out after a while with a viral meningitis infection, but he is supposed to be back in time for Survivor Series. And what that means is they can put the Shield formally together and have them face the New Day. Now, this match has not been formally made as of yet, as of the taping of this video, but I envision that to be happening sometime very soon. That match is going to be made official. So you're going to get the Shield versus the New Day. Again, it's not for a title. It's more for show pride, more to see two of probably the most popular factions in the WWE facing each other, and it should be an extremely entertaining match for us. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So let's run down the card that we have, as you can see down here, but more importantly, let's talk about what we think this is going to lead to. Survivor Series is one of the last shows of the year. After we're going to get the Royal Rumble after this, and these are going to be the ones that start to set up WrestleMania. The picture of what WrestleMania is going to start coming into focus, just like it did last year. Survivor Series last year set up a couple of big storylines that culminated at WrestleMania. The Miz's run was set up at Survivor Series last year. Brock versus Goldberg was set up at Survivor Series last year, and the Wyatt versus Orton feud, which went all the way to WrestleMania, was set up at Survivor Series. So what are we going to get this year? Well, the matches we have, as we've already discussed, we've got Brock Lesnar versus AJ Styles. We've got Alexa Bliss versus either Natalya or Charlotte. Again, as of the taping of this, it's supposed to be Natalya, but her and Charlotte have a match coming up pretty soon. So Natalya could very well drop the belt to Charlotte. It all depends on whether or not Vince thinks it's a more compelling matchup to see Alexa Bliss and Charlotte face each other than he does Alexa Bliss and Natalya. And then the Miz versus Baron Corbin. or Sin Cara. This is another potential change that we could have. Baron Corbin and Sin Cara have a match coming up, and if the belt changes hands here, then it's going to be The Miz versus Sin Cara. I don't think he's going to make the change. I guess we'll see if I'm right in that prediction. I think The Miz versus Baron Corbin is going to be a more interesting matchup there. So I envision that one to stay the same. But we're getting a match between one of those three guys. And then we talked about the tag team championships already. Sheamus and Cesaro versus the Usos. We have a Team Raw versus Team SmackDown with the men. We have on Team Raw representing them. We have Kurt Angle, Jason Jordan, Braun Strowman, Samoa Joe, and Finn Balor versus Team SmackDown represented by Shane McMahon, John Cena, Shinsuke Nakamura, Randy Orton, and Bobby Roode. No titles, just for show pride, just a bunch of big sweaty dudes beating on each other, and it should be a lot of fun. For the women's side, they're doing something very similar, 5-on-5. The SmackDown side, we have Becky Lynch, Charlotte, Carmella, Tamina, and Naomi versus the Raw's team, Fox, Nia Jax, Asuka, Banks, and then they're going to put one more woman on their team. And then Enzo and Kalisto. That's actually the only match where a title can change hands for the Cruiserweight Championship. So all the other matches are non-title, just more for pride and facing each other. But Enzo and Kalisto is the only one where the belt can actually be changed. So now what does this mean? So what can we expect to set Survivor Series to set up? As we talked about what Survivor Series did last year, what do we think is going to happen this year? This year, what I think the big match that it's going to set up is Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. It's one of these secrets that's not a secret, that the WWE wants to crown Roman Reigns as the next big thing, as the next John Cena. And so the way to do that is to start now. How Roman Reigns is going to interfere with the Brock Lesnar match, I don't know. Is he going to cost the match for Brock Lesnar? That would certainly be something. And have AJ Styles emerge the victor? Is he going to attack him afterwards? We don't know. That's what'll be interesting to find out. But I can see it now, one way or another. Roman Reigns is going to become involved in that and start a feud with Brock Lesnar. They want to push him. He's second in merchandise sales, so regardless of what a lot of people's opinion of Roman Reigns is, he is a star. He is one of the biggest draws for the company as far as what makes money, and that's merchandise. That's a big part of what makes money for the WWE, and his reemergence as part of the Shield has kind of turned a lot of people's opinion towards him for the better. So the WWE wants to capitalize on this newfound popularity that people have for him, and I envision them starting that here at Survivor Series on November 19th. Also, I think we're going to get Kurt Angle versus Triple H set up for WrestleMania as well. Kurt Angle's already had one formal match back in the WWE since he's returned, and Triple H has been wrestling in house shows, especially overseas, so he's pretty much always in fighting shape just because of the way he's lived his life. So I think we're going to start seeing a formal storyline being told here. We had Stephanie McMahon throwing some jabs at Kurt Angle last week, and so look for that to continue through Survivor Series, especially if Team Raw loses to Team SmackDown. Then Kurt Angle, as the head of the Team Raw team, is going to take the brunt of Stephanie McMahon's wrath or Triple H's. And I can see them setting up a sort of a dream match between Kurt Angle and Triple H, a harken back to the days of the Attitude Era when those two guys were in the company together when they were at their peak. Another one I think is going to be AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura. The last time they wrestled was actually in New Japan when they wrestled at an event called Wrestle Kingdom. And Wrestle Kingdom is basically like the WrestleMania for New Japan. And AJ Styles is a huge star in Japan, and so is Shinsuke Nakamura. And so for the WWE to bring these two together in a match against each other, who they already have a history of working well together outside of the company, this would be a dream come true for a lot of fans who have followed the independent promotions or followed other promotions like New Japan, Ring of Honor, and things like that. So that would absolutely please those kinds of fans and give everybody else an introduction to the kind of style that they can do against each other. And finally, the one I think that they'll also set up, that's kind of a long shot, but I think if it's going to happen, this is the time that it's going to start happening, is the Four Horsewomen. They've been talking about this for a while, of putting 4 of the WWE women versus 4 women from MMA, Ronda Rousey being the biggest name there. She's been to the WWE training centers. She's been working with WWE trainers and people like that to prepare for some kind of in-ring competition. So there's the rumors have been swirling for a while, and I think this is somewhere where we might start to see those seeds being planted. I haven't seen any word about Rousey being at Survivor Series yet, but it wouldn't shock me if she was there, and that they started to talk about having a Four Horsewomen match, so where you had a 4-on-4 match for these women at WrestleMania next year. That solves a lot of problems for WWE, because then they don't have to create individual matches for these women in the WWE. They can put them all in this 4-on-4 match. And once again, there's a lot of gimmick matches that tend to take place at WrestleMania, and that's one of them. But the idea is to generate interest and to put butts in seats. That's what the WWE is looking for. That's what they're going to try to achieve with a match like that. So, on to the most important question. What do you think? Am I way off base in my assessment? Am I way off base in the things that I think that WWE is going to try to set up for WrestleMania 34 here at Survivor Series? Or do you think that we've actually got a shot here? I'd like to know in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think. Put them down there. If you've watched any of these previous videos here on the TYT Sports YouTube page, you know that I take the time to comment back. If you take the time to watch this video and throw some meaningful comments down below, then I owe it to you to respond back. So I absolutely will. So throw in your comments. I want to know your opinion. I want to know what you think is going to happen. Let's generate the discussion. Let's talk about it. Survivor Series should be a really good time. November 19th on the WWE Network. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a nice little appetizer before we dig into all the turkey, stuffing, yams, the hams, and all that other good stuff that we get for our traditional Thanksgiving dinners. So I have been Josh Gibbs. I have been Chief Josh Yola. You can follow me on the Twitter verses and all those things over here. You can follow me also every Tuesday night at 10:05 p.m. for 10:05 Live on the TYT Sports Facebook page. I do a live show where we talk about Raw, we talk about SmackDown, we talk about literally anything pro wrestling related you guys want to talk about. This is your show. We have Facebook, a little Facebook comments thing that runs along the side of the screen, and it's constantly updating with whatever comments you guys are throwing out, because it's live. That's why it's 10:05 Live. It's whatever you guys want to discuss. I acknowledge the people who show up and who throw their comments out, and then we talk about it. We go over what happened on Raw and SmackDown and talk about those storylines, but people come in with some really, really great questions and some great takes on where the WWE is going with the future shows. We have a lot of fun. So please join us every Tuesday night, 10:05 p.m. Eastern Time, TYT Sports Facebook page. I always throw the link out there on Twitter. We put it up on the Facebook page as well, so you can look for that. One way or another, you'll be able to find us. We'll all have a good time together. All right, guys, thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.